morning, students. Welcome back to our next session of the topic Transport of Materials and Food in Plants. As you all know, we had discussed about the processes involved in the transport of materials and food. Today, we shall discuss which tissues are involved in the transport of materials and food. These tissues are called as conducting tissue or vascular tissue. It is because they help in the conduction of water and mineral salts, which are important raw material for the process of photosynthesis, as well as translocation of food from leaves to different parts of the plant. There are two types of vascular tissue, xylem and phloem. Xylem elements are of four types. These are number 1, tracheids, number 2, xylem vessels, number 3, xylem parenchyma, and number 4, xylem fibers. Tracheids. These are made up of single cell wall thick, made up of lignin, and these are dead cells. These cells are elongated with tapering ends and have numerous pits. Pits means pores, through which water moves upward. These are usually found in lower plants such as pteridophytes and gymnosperms. You have the common examples of pteridophytes as ferns and gymnosperms, the cycas and pines. Next come to xylem vessels. These are also made up of dead cells, cell wall thick and lignified, and these are multicellular cells. They are in the form of long tubular passages with their end walls dissolved so that they resemble a long continuous water pipe. These are usually found in angiosperms. Angiosperms means flowering plants, dicots and monocots. Function of tracheids and vessels, as we have discussed earlier, is to transport the raw material, water and mineral salts from the roots to the leaves. The xylem of the root is connected to the xylem of the stem to the xylem of the leaves. Next is xylem parenchyma. We have already discussed earlier. Parenchyma are living cells. So this element of xylem, they are living cells and their main function is to store food. Lastly, we come to xylem fibers. These are also known as wood and they are made up of dead cells, cell wall, lignified, and they help in providing mechanical strength to the plant. These were what we have discussed about the xylem elements. Next, we shall discuss about phloem. Difference between phloem and xylem, one main difference is that xylem elements are dead except xylem parenchyma. Phloem elements are all living except phloem fibers. Now, let us discuss one by one about the various elements of phloem. The first element is sieve tubes. These cells are living and their nucleus is absent. They are in the form of sieve plates and closely associated with the other element of phloem, that is companion cells. Companion cells also are living. They have nucleus and they control the activity of sieve tubes. Next, we have phloem parenchyma. Phloem parenchyma again are living cells and their main function is to store food in the form of starch, other organic materials and fats. Phloem tissues are mainly involved in translocation. Translocation means transportation of prepared food from the leaves, since it is in the leaves where the manufacturing of food takes place, the process called photosynthesis, to different parts of the plant. Lastly is phloem fibers. These are dead cells and they provide mechanical strength to the plant. So, these were what we have discussed about vascular tissue or conducting tissue. The next most important thing is mineral nutrition. Just as we human beings, we have minerals and vitamins as an important part of a balanced diet. Plants also require minerals in either traces or in sufficient quantity. That is because these nutrients, or we call as mineral nutrients, are required by the plants for the various enzymatic reactions taking place and for also maintaining the osmotic potential and for the synthesis of other organelles. Mineral nutrients, their sources in the plants can be air, atmosphere, it can be water, or it can be soil. Soil are a rich source of minerals from the plants, which are absorbed by the roots in the form of soil solution. Accordingly, mineral nutrients in plants is grouped into two types. One is macronutrients and the other is micronutrients. From the name itself, macronutrients means the nutrients or the elements required by plant in sufficient or more quantity. This include nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, etc. They are involved in maintaining the osmotic potential of the plant cells. Micronutrients are also called as trace elements since they are required in very small quantity. They are involved in the enzymatic reactions. Just as in the human beings, deficiency of any nutrient, essential nutrient as we say, leads to deficiency diseases. In plants also, lack of any essential nutrients leads to deficiency diseases or symptoms. They are also called as hunger signs. How do we recognize it? That the plant is suffering from any deficiency disease, there are certain symptoms or signs. If we find the leaves, yellowing of leaves, it is because due to loss of chlorophyll, and the deficiency disease is called as chlorosis. It can be due to lack of sufficient nitrogen in the plant. Plants usually absorb it in the form of nitrates. Sometimes you find that the hunger signs or the deficiency symptoms can be in the form of curling of the margin of the leaves, appearance of brown spots on the lamina of the leaf, which can be, or the cracking of the stem, delayed fall flowering, delayed development of flowers and fruits. So all these are some of the hunger signs or deficiency symptoms. It can be cured by adding sufficient amount of that mineral element in the soil. That is done by in the form of fertilizers. So that was all for today. Here I have made certain notes for you all. So please go through it. This, as you can see, xylem tissues, tracheids, xylem vessels and their functions. Can I turn the next page? This is xylem parenchyma, xylem sclerenchyma and phloem. Next, we come to the other elements of phloem, companion cells, phloem parenchyma, and phloem fibers. Next, we have the topic mineral nutrition. And you should know the deficiency symptoms of certain elements. We have the diagram of the xylem elements, important xylem elements such as tracheids and xylem vessels and phloem elements.